Middle of August, payday, August 15th, Friday, 2014. A beautiful day out, low 90s for the high, same tomorrow. So a great weekend, not too hot, not too muggy. Should be very enjoyable. It is the evening of the Candlelight Vigil, which has brought Bill Gibbons back to town for this event. And I'm sure for some other business as well. Mr. Gibbons is a friend of our program, the commissioner of the State Department of Homeland Security and Safety, or whatever the verbiage is. Good to see you as always, sir.
That's close enough.
Yeah. How are you, Bill? What's going on?
I'm doing great, doing great.
Good to see you again as always. And you have various things to comment on and tell folks about. We brought up earlier this week one of the things that is a never-ending discussion in this town, and since you took over this position, and Larry Godwin as well at your side, the driver's license centers have been a source of discussion and concern and annoyance to many people.
Yeah, we've had emailers in the past for years talking about the Hickory Ridge Mall, the place out on Summer Avenue, how the only way to get it done is to go out to Oakland, Tennessee and deal with the nice little ladies out there.
And it's no secret to you guys. And so it's been one of your focal points as far as fixing. So you've made a pretty big stride here, and people have been commenting all week in a positive nature about how this is working. Explain what you've done.
Yeah, well, first of all, you're absolutely right. I mean, when you think about it, our driver service centers are, in many respects, the face of state government. We have about 2 million Tennesseans per year interacting with state government through our driver service centers. And you're right, we've had a long-time reputation, decades really, of having long lines and long wait times, especially in urban areas like Memphis. We're doing a number of things to try to address that. But one new thing that we're trying out here in Memphis at the Summer Avenue Driver Service Center and Oakland is what we call virtual line management. And what that means is that a customer can get in line and know the time that customer is going to be served without actually having to physically be there.
How do they go about this process?
There are 3 different ways. The most common way is by text message. You can text into a particular number that's on our website, and I'll give that website address in a few minutes. You can text in, you will get a text back giving you a certain time to be there, and that's flexible. If you're running late, you can text back and kind of adjust the time. You'll also get messages from time to time just reminding you, or if there's any change, alerting you there's been a change. That's the most common way, text message. The second way is by telephone. You can do it that way. And number 3 is simply by internet, going online. So all 3 of those are ways that a customer can get in line, know what time that customer needs to be there without having to physically wait at the Summer Avenue Driver Service Center, for example.
So when you get yourself, either you text or go online or call, and you're told, let's say it's 1:15. When you get there, what happens? Do you say, I'm here, and put me in line?
You'll have a number, and your number will be called. And it's working extremely well. Now, we're relying on people such as the 2 of you and others in the media to kind of let the public know about this. We don't have a big marketing budget.
Right.
So we still have a lot of people who are showing up at Summer Avenue who don't know about this. But here's another very important part of this. Once a customer shows up at Summer Avenue, doesn't know about this, hadn't received a time by text or internet or phone, just shows up, that customer will go to a kiosk and be given a time and a number. That customer can leave Summer Avenue, go run an errand, whatever, and come back. I was at Summer Avenue on August 1st. It was a Friday. And the Summer Avenue Driver Service Center is going to be slammed on any Friday, but it was really slammed on August 1st because it was the Friday before the Shelby County schools started. So you had all those kids in there taking their knowledge test and their skills test. It was slammed. And I interacted with a number of customers, and really there was a high level of satisfaction. I talked to one father who was there with his son. He was very pleased with the new system. They got there. They got their number. They were given the time that they were going to be served. They left, had lunch, came back. Needless to say, they were very satisfied.
No problem. Yes. Well, we had some emails about it the very first day that we discussed it.
Yep.
And they were all positive. So this seems to be a step in the right direction. You got it at 2 locations. Do you plan to do it at all of them eventually?
Well, here's our plan. Right now, we have a contract for 4 locations. So we have 2 locations in the Memphis area and 2 in the Nashville area, where we're really trying this out, making sure it's working the way we think it will work. So far, the response has been very positive. What we hope to do next year is expand that to really make it available at other centers across the state. Primarily in the urban areas, the metropolitan areas. Frankly, if you go to a small driver service center in a rural area, there's not much need for it.
Yeah.
But I think we need this in all of our centers in the metropolitan areas, and that's our plan.
Very good. Our guest is Bill Gibbons from the Department of Homeland Security.
And if I could, I don't want to give out phone numbers for people to call and everything, but they can go to our website, which is simply tn.gov/safety. Go to the Driver Services tab. And all the information is there about the numbers people need to call if they want to text or call in.
Very good. I'm sure that the word will spread, and we'll put it up on our Facebook page and help you spread the word. I've been seeing this past week the digital interstate signs that flash up various things have taken a different turn this week. Usually it is a reminder of the deaths on the road and don't text and don't be goofy. This week I noticed several different things. One was a drive time from location to location, which was an interesting change. And there was something else. What is the impact, or can you discern if there is any impact from these reminders, these quick subliminal suggestions to people?
I don't have any scientific study to support this, but I think there is an impact. And I base that just on the level of conversation that I hear about those message signs. And your question this morning is a good reflection of that. There's a lot of talk out there among the public about the messages on those signs. So I think it is having a very, very, very important impact. And I don't have a scientific study to show that.
Well, they do seem to register with some people. I think that one of the things that we discuss here all the time, and everybody in the world does, is this incessant need to text and drive. And I wonder if at some point, if law enforcement has the time or the manpower to really hammer down on this and enforce it before somebody else gets killed on his phone.
It's more and more of a problem. There are 3 major causes of traffic fatalities. Number 1 is failure to wear a seatbelt.
Yep.
About half of all of our traffic fatalities involve the 10 to 15% of individuals who don't wear seatbelts.
And who are these people still that don't do that?
There have been some studies done
Kids?
on that. And by and large, demographically, it is by and large younger white males.
Just arrogant, bulletproof, and invincible.
It's kind of an interesting demographic.
Yeah.
So that's the number 1 cause. Number 2 is driving under the influence. That historically has been about 30% of all the traffic fatalities. Number 3 is distracted driving, all the texting and so on, and that's becoming more and more of a problem as more and more people engage in that on a regular basis. Of course, we have a state law on the books making it illegal to text and drive. It's hard to enforce because you got to catch someone doing it. It's very difficult. But I think you're going to see us putting more and more emphasis on that in the future because it is becoming more and more of a problem.
Yeah. Our guest is Bill Gibbons, discussing various state safety issues. It must be difficult for you to be in this position, and Mr. Godwin as well, and to watch some of the things happening in this city. This is a big state. There are other towns beside this one, but it must make your job harder to watch some of the things happening in this city with the recent the police and the fire issues, which put people at risk. It seems. Some of the general morale problems of the MPD, which puts state officers on higher alert. We see shows like this thing called Drugs, Inc. Have you seen that?
I have not. No.
It is a frightening thing to see that 2 blocks away from Graceland, this is that's just some of this crime is so out of control. And you have a new crime task force here that we'll discuss it. But it must be tough to be from here, to live here, to go back and forth. The dynamic in Nashville is quite different than it is here, but it's concerning to people to watch what's happening in this town.
Well, a couple of comments on that. First of all, I'm a Memphian. This is my home. I live here. I love this city. I always will, and I'm always going to be doing everything I can to help it. Governor Haslam has asked me to chair the local Operation Safe Community initiative, which is composed of city, county, state, and federal officials, as well as the private sector. I chair that. In fact, I'm leaving here to go to a meeting concerning that. So I'm very, very involved, really on a regular basis, in trying to tackle this problem. It is a serious problem. I will say that if you look at the long term, over the last 8 years or so, we have made substantial progress in Memphis on our crime rate. Having said that, we have a long way to go. I'm a little concerned about some recent trends, and there may be a lot of reasons for those recent trends. Some of those reasons may be what you mentioned. We've had a little, shall we say, disruption in the Memphis Police Department over the last couple of months, and obviously that's had some impact. It's hard to measure, but some impact. But you know, I think what we've got to do is stay the course, stay focused. We've got a good plan. And we need to stay focused on implementing it and roll our sleeves up and get the job done.
So what are some of the specifics that this task force will undertake? This is people like yourself, Bill Oldham, Amy Wyrick, and on, Mark Luttrell, other people in governmental positions, judges, and so forth. So what is the focus, and what can you do of a tangible nature to start changing some stuff?
Well, this is a task force that Governor Haslam announced just yesterday. It's composed of, I believe, 25 people. Interestingly, of those 25, 8 are from Shelby County. So Shelby County is well represented on this task force. Right. What the governor has asked the task force to do is really kind of get deep in the weeds on looking at our sentencing structure in Tennessee, how we can make some changes to improve it. And there are a lot of different aspects of that, but we're really going to roll our sleeves up, get into it, and very importantly, the governor has given us a deadline. You know, sometimes you have these task forces groups and they study things forever. He has given us a deadline of June of next year to get our job done and to recommend to him any needed changes in our state sentencing laws. Just a couple of observations on that. Number one, and I know you were talking about this earlier, we have a very high violent crime rate in Tennessee. I think we are penalized to some degree, and you know, we were talking about this earlier, we're penalized to some degree by the fact that we do a very good job of reporting our crimes in Tennessee. We do a better job than other states. And that does penalize us when you come up with these rankings and so on.
What are the options? Just to lie about it? I mean,
I don't want to mention any jurisdictions or states, but
or to make the numbers
kind of play with it, and we're very honest about it. So that does penalize us. But having said that, I don't think we need to make any excuses. The fact is, we have a violent crime rate that is too high. That violent crime rate is driven to a large degree by Memphis and Shelby County and Nashville and Davidson County, just by the sheer numbers. If you take those two areas together, that makes up about half of all the reported crime in the state of Tennessee. So these two communities, Memphis, Shelby County, Nashville, Davidson County, kind of drive those numbers.
Right.
They're too high. The other big problem we have is the huge number of repeat offenders. 45% of those who get out of prison in Tennessee go back into the system within 3 years.
We discussed this earlier. This has been a topic in this town for 10, 15 years.
25% go back in within 1 year. So we've got to do something about that, and I'm hoping this task force will really roll up its sleeves, take a look at it, come up with some things that we can do to address that problem.
Yeah, that's been a problem that we've discussed with both mayors, with law enforcement over years about this. They get in, they get out, they go back in for the same nonsense over and over again, which ties up Amy Wyrick's office, and it continues to be a problem.
Well, that's right.
And you saw it firsthand for years.
And, you know, unfortunately, to some degree, our prisons have become graduate schools of crime. They get out and go right back to the same old thing. To some degree, it's an issue of supervision once they get out. There are a lot of issues there that we need to address.
Do you have any involvement? We talked to Amy about this earlier. It is disturbing, to say the least, to get the news this week earlier that 10,000 kids that are supposed to be in school are not, and won't be till after Labor Day. And this goes on year after year, and it seems like it's some kind of a comic story, but it's not.
It's like Groundhog Day.
It is very serious. That is part of the Operation Safe Community Plan here locally. It is also part of the governor's statewide public safety action plan, because there is a recognition that truancy is a gateway to more serious activity in many, many cases.
Right.
I know that Amy is working hard on this. I've been in meetings with her in the last couple of weeks about it. We've got to turn this around, and we got to take it seriously and address the problem when a kid is being truant, rather than waiting until that kid is breaking into cars and homes and so on.
Yeah, well, there's no shortage of challenges for your office and for law enforcement here and across the state. It's a really, really tough task, but I guess you got to just take things as they come and hope for the best. And the virtual line management, again, well, we'll put this up on our Facebook page. If it's time for a new license or a renewal, there is some relief after years of complaining about it.
And we are making progress.
Something has been done, and there is progress. So congratulations on that. Give our best to Larry Godwin. We miss him around here.
You ought to have him on sometime.
Huh?
You ought to have him on sometime.
He was on last year, I think. He was here for a minute, but we would love to see him anytime, all the time. Thank you, sir, and we will link these things onto the Facebook page and encourage folks to do it. And keep us posted on the progress that this task force makes. This would be something good to watch, I see, as it goes.
Glad to do it.
Bill, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We'll see you again.